Today, we're going to dive into a really powerful philosophical tool. It's something that has shaped history for centuries, and honestly, it might just change the way you think about arguments. It's called the dialectic, and we're going to look at it as a kind of engine for truth.
I mean, let's face it, we live in a world of friction. From huge global politics down to our own internal debates, we are constantly dealing with opposing ideas. So the big question is, right, how do we navigate all that conflict to actually get to a better understanding? Just think about the basic tensions we manage every single day. You've got the rights of the individual clashing with the needs of the collective. Or, the value of keeping things the way they've always been versus that constant push for something new, for radical innovation. These aren't simple problems, and there are definitely no easy answers. There are contradictions that sit at the very heart of our world.
So, before we can even start talking about a solution, we have to really get a handle on the problem itself. We live in a world that is fundamentally defined by contradiction.
This isn't a new thing. Way back, the sociologist George Simmel saw this exact same dynamic in his time. This big push for collective justice running right up against a powerful new sense of individualism. This kind of tension is, well, it's everywhere. It's what drives political debate, it's what fuels social change, and it's even part of our own personal growth. It's just a fundamental piece of being human.
Okay, so if conflict is just baked into everything, what are we supposed to do with it? Is the only point to pick a side, dig in, and just fight until the other side gives up? Or is there maybe a more constructive, a more creative way to handle these clashes? And this is exactly where the dialectic comes in. So let's explore it, not as some dusty philosophical term, but as a practical engine, a machine for generating truth and progress right out of conflict. So what is this thing really? Well, at its core, the dialectic is a special kind of conversation. It's a structured way of talking where you don't just throw opposing ideas at each other. Instead, you place them side by side, you examine them, and the whole point, is to reach a higher level of understanding that pulls the best from both sides.
And this brings us to a really, really crucial distinction. We often mix up dialectic with debate, but they couldn't be more different. A debate is competitive. It's about winning. One person walks away the victor. A dialectic, though, is cooperative. It's like both people are on the same team, using their different points of view as tools to build something totally new, something closer to the truth. Now, the most famous model for this whole process comes from the 19th century philosopher George Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel. You can basically think of it as a three-stroke engine. First, you've got the thesis. That's the initial idea, the status quo. Then, inevitably, comes the antithesis, the direct opposite, the contradiction to that idea. And the clash between them doesn't just create a winner and a loser. No, it produces a synthesis, a brand new, more advanced idea that resolves the tension by taking pieces from both.
And we can see this process happening all around us. Take digital technology, for instance. The thesis was the arrival of all these new tools. The antithesis was all the resistance and fear, right? People worried about replacing the old ways of doing things. The result, the synthesis, wasn't a total win for either side. It's a new reality where technology is woven into almost every part of our lives, creating a world that didn't exist before.
Now, this idea itself is not new at all. The dialectic has this incredibly rich history, and it's evolved over thousands of years as thinkers have used it to understand the world in completely new ways.
Its roots go all the way back to ancient Greece. You had Socrates using his dialectical method, just asking question after question to poke holes in arguments and force people to think on a deeper level. Fast forward a few centuries, and Hegel formalizes it into that thesis, antithesis, synthesis model we just talked about. And then, pretty soon after, Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels took Hegel's idea and gave it a twist, creating what they called dialectical materialism. For them, this engine wasn't just about ideas, it was about real physical material conditions. History, they said, moves forward through the clash of social classes, with the ultimate synthesis being a society without classes at all.
Okay, I know this might all be sounding a bit abstract and philosophical, but believe me, this ancient concept is a surprisingly powerful and practical tool in our world today, and it shows up in places you really wouldn't expect.
Take the legal field. The whole adversarial court system is basically a dialectic, right? You have two opposing sides presenting their arguments, and the idea is that the truth will emerge from that structured conflict. In education, it helps build critical thinking. And in psychology, well, it's become a totally revolutionary tool for therapy.
Let's just focus on that for a second because it's so powerful. Dialectical behavior therapy, or DBT, is built entirely on this concept. It helps people who are struggling with really intense emotional conflicts by teaching them to hold two ideas that seem completely opposite at the same time. One, the radical acceptance of themselves exactly as they are, and two, the urgent need to change their behaviors. The synthesis that comes from holding both of those things is real, lasting healing. It is just a beautiful, practical application of a really profound idea.
So let's bring this all home. What is the real point of understanding the dialectic? It's all about shifting our mindset away from a world of zero-sum debates and toward one of constructive progress. It's about getting beyond just wanting to win an argument.
So, to recap, the dialectic isn't about proving someone wrong. It's a cooperative hunt for a deeper truth. It looks at conflict not as something destructive, but as the necessary engine of progress, the thing that moves us from a thesis and an antithesis to a much richer synthesis. And, as we've seen, this is not just theory. It's a practical tool that's shaping our legal system, our therapies, and our classrooms every day.
This quote really just nails it, doesn't it? The goal is to explore and understand. The method is a cooperative exchange. It's all about building something new, not tearing something down. That is a huge shift from how we normally think about disagreement.
And that really leaves us with one final thought. We're living in a world that seems to absolutely glorify debate, division, and winning at all costs. But what if we started to think a little differently? What if we treated our deepest disagreements not as battles to be won, but as opportunities to create a synthesis? What new truths could we uncover? What could we build together?